Good evening. This is Liz Busquets. Today is November the 12th, 2020. This is the monthly teleconference for the ASCA board. We have three items on the agenda. Present today are Carol, Denise, Gina, Jan, Jean, Judy, Rick, Warren, myself, Liz, and Kala is also here. So the first item is the last month's email business.
I move to approve last month's email business. Jean.
This is Jan. I'll second it.
Okay, I heard Jean make a motion to approve last month's email business, and I believe it was Jan who seconded. Is that correct?
I was
Jan?
one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so, okay, I'm gonna say Jan. Okay, so seconded by Jan. Any further discussion? Okay, I'm gonna call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. So our next item is the system update. Warren?
Aye. So, as mentioned before, we have several items that we are interested in working on. The proposal from Inventive and getting a meeting with Ali are the first steps. And we'll be looking forward to trying to get that over the next couple of weeks with Kala's help.
Okay, thanks. Any further questions for Warren on the system, what we're doing? No. Okay. So the last item on the agenda is revisit the 2020 and 2021 finals. So I'm not sure who wants to take this on. I did talk to Ray about it this afternoon. I know that one of the suggestions that some directors have put forward is to just fill in if the finals don't fill in with the 2020 finalists. Ray says that can be done, but the way that in talking about it with Ray and all that, it has some problems, okay? Because basically you're telling somebody who was #1 last year to be an alternate is what you're basically doing. And it's kind of like, I don't know, I have kind of like a jerk knee reaction to that for some reason. But it is doable as far as the office, okay? The other thing that could be doable, as was discussed before, was to take, say, divide the list into two. You have the first 15 or 10, whatever it may be, from the 2020, and the first 10, 15 from the 2021. And then if that doesn't fill, then you take the alternates back from the 21 list, and then the 2020 or whatever. But anyway, I don't know what other ideas some of you have or whatever, but we this is in the agenda. We've received some letters about it, and Anne brought it up during the membership meeting. So I think that we should discuss it, and I guess we can hear whatever you guys think, and see whether we want to change anything from the decision before or not. So, Carol?
So first, I mean, we all we've talked about this a lot, and we've thought about it a lot, I know. And I know there's a lot of different discussion out there. I do think, I mean, part of it is, what can we really do with the business office? I do think that if it cannot fill 2021, we definitely want to fill the spots. I understand what you're saying about, if you were number one last year and now you're basically an alternate. But I mean, we all know we don't even know what's going to happen, right? Like, I mean, after the first of the year, nobody knows. Nobody knows. We just have to go with what we can do, number one, and we want to fill it. I mean, it's not like we don't want to fill it. So I think if people are in the position that, there's going to be some opportunity to get points, maybe not to everyone equally. There's no way we can change that. That's just life. I am really, we all wish things were the way they were a year ago, right? Like back to normal. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But if we have openings, I think given the opportunity, and I look at the obedience where this has become more, seems like a bigger discussion, is that instead of having no entries, that yes, we should fill off the list from the year before. I think, it's wrong to look at it as being an alternate. You just have to look at the points and put it in the perspective of the fact that we are in a new year. People are getting points. If there's a venue that has 0 points when the end of May comes, then obviously whatever it was, there wasn't enough to hold it in whatever areas people are at. And so then we do draw off the list. Then it would be the same list as 2020. But I think filling those spots is important. And I don't think there is any one way that is fair. And I just think we can just only do the best that we can do and go forward. I don't know how else to do it. So I guess that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Carol. Denise?
I agree with Carol. I know that this board has a lot of compassion for all the exhibitors from 2020 and 2021 because of the circumstances. And I think that there are several combinations that we can do to give as much recognition as possible to all of the finalists that are from both years. I think we should certainly, Susan Byrne volunteered to do the ribbon purchase and send out to the finalists. And I know the obedience people said sort of the same thing as far as purchasing ribbons. I think that should be the option for all the programs, that they can, and anyone who would like to have a ribbon, they're not paying an entry fee, but that would buy their ribbon with their dog's name on it. The ASCA office has certificates for everybody for 2020. I think that we should fill the empty spots in any and all of the finals, starting at the top of 20. And if the first dog says no, it goes to the second. They say no, it goes to the third, etc., until the spaces are full. And I do think also that it's really important that these dogs are visual to the people who come to nationals in Texas in 21. And I know that they can put together a really nice video slideshow, an ongoing thing with the dog's picture, the dog's name, at both locations, like the banquet and the welcome dinner, and they can have it up in the lobby. So it's just an ongoing thing the entire time. And there's no way to make it perfect, but I just think that the combination of things will make it as good as we can make it. And everybody has to know that it's just, they all know it's not right from 20 to 21. With all this mess going on, we don't know what's going to happen, and we just have to do as much as we can do that makes it work for the office, that makes it work for the exhibitor, and it makes it work for the show committees. So those are my suggestions: is to do the rosettes, to do pictures, etc., and to fill the empty spaces in the upcoming finals. And I appreciate all of the work that everybody in the finals has done. I understand the expense it is, but unfortunately, whole situation just stinks as far as I'm concerned, as far as the 2020, 2020 going on. Anyhow, so that's my thing, and I hope that people will understand that, like I said, we are passionate and compassionate about this, and that we've spent a lot of time, a lot of hours, and a lot of worry over it. And we certainly hope that people will be satisfied with what we've done. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Gina?
Hi. Yeah, I believe that the ribbons thing and the recognition at finals or at nationals in 21 is already in the works. I agree, especially since I was the maker of the motion, that we just need to move forward. There's nothing we can do that is fair. I've talked to a lot of people that are trying to get the 2021 finals in various programs, and every single one of them says there is no way that they can compete for the points against 2020 people. So the only thing I would agree to would be to backfill, and especially obedience and rally, from the 2020 list. But I am not in favor of bumping any current finalist off the list to put a 2020 on. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Gina. Jan?
I want to back what the board decided, since I was one of the descending, and so we need to move forward. This has not been a good year. It's had all of its challenges. It is not ASCA's fault. We're doing several things: the cover of the Aussie Times, the ribbons, the recognition at the nationals. I know how much it is to go to nationals, and I know how much it is to campaign a dog to get to finals. I've done it with 3. I had dogs on the list. I totally understand, but in these times, we are trying to do the best that we possibly can. Looking at the numbers, we're halfway through the year. Gina's point, the numbers are much lower than in years past. The Europeans are still competing. They're about a quarter of some of the list, just roughly counting. That was not a statistical. It doesn't appear Canadians and Europeans are going to be able to move this year. So I think our best thing is to see how the year rides out, and the programs like Obedience and Rally, backfilling those programs. However, I think members need to know, like we're discussing it now, what the whole board is going to do when it comes to May 31st of 2020. Or 2021, sorry. Thanks.
Thanks, Jan. Jean?
I agree with Gina and Jan. So we need to move forward, but I also agree that backfilling with 2020 finalists would be an acceptable and reasonable thing to do. And I also agree with Jan that if that's a procedure that that the board is going to use going forward, or for this year, that we should make that known to the membership. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Judy?
I think the absolute only way we could do this to make it fair is to have 2 finals. And we know we can't do that. We can't afford it. We have no time to do it. That's not going to happen. I agree we need to move forward. However, if the committees would have put in place a provision to pick their alternates like agility is done, they would be able to fill finals every year. And that's where we're going to run into trouble if we decide to backfill from the 2020 list in agility. We already allow people to enter that are already alternates for that year. So I don't know how we're going to figure that out. Who gets to go, who doesn't? And as a person who's trying to make some finals for the first time with this particular dog, it's one of those where it makes me think twice, should I even try? Because if I'm the first alternate for 2021, I won't get in, but somebody from 2020 will. So are we saying the right thing to those people who we want competing right now? So my thing is, yes, it's done. We have to move on. And I'm very sorry. Our Canadian friends, our European friends are not going to be able to come anyway, no matter which way we choose. They're kind of out of luck. So are we going to hold off and in 2 years when they can travel again, have another finals for them because they couldn't come? I don't think that's going to happen. It's like any horrible thing that happens. It happened. We have to deal with it, and we're going to have to move on. I know that's not a popular feeling, but that's how I feel. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Rick?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, it's been a real crummy year, and we need to move forward. I would like to see the finals field. I would like to, for ASCA's sake, I would like to possibly backfill. But with that being said, it needs to be fair across the board. Let me restate that. It needs to be consistent across the board. I don't think we can ever say it's going to be fair across the board, but it needs to be consistent across the board, whatever we decide. I don't know that we can make it fair. So with that, maybe it's best to move forward. I would like to maybe backfill, but like Judy said, it's not going to be fair for an alternate in 2021 who gets bumped out by a finalist in 2020. So maybe it is best just to move forward. I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer, but like I said, this is just a real crummy year, and the board is thinking about all contestants. They are thinking about the 2020 exhibitors. They're thinking about the 2021, and it's just not fair to nobody, and we understand that. But there's hard to get around that. So that's really all I got to say.
Thank you, Rick. Warren?
Yeah, this is really tough in going through it. I remember I go back to where we were when we decided to cancel the finals for 2020. And I think it might have been the same meeting, or it might have just been the meeting before that, when my financial projections were still showing a 90-day impact. Things have changed a lot. Every time we meet, we know more about the disease, the progression of it, the financial impacts, the economic impacts, the social impacts. We surely don't know when things will get back to normal. I heard someone just mention that we don't expect Europeans to be at the 2021 final. I hope that's wrong, but who knows, right? But I do know that when we decided and voted on the 2021 finals, basically saying we're not going to count any 2020 points, we were, at least I was, in a different frame of mind from where COVID was going to be. I really didn't think that right through till, I'm confident now, right through till May 31st of 2021, we're going to see depressed utilization of our services. We're going to see fewer people showing at events. And I do think that some of these we're not going to have qualifiers simply because there are not going to be enough shows. So because of that, I do think we're literally in a different place than we were just a few weeks ago when we made the decision. I think that's the fact of the disease and the way the society is responding to it. And I think it's okay for us to revisit. And I do agree with Jan, whether we dissent it or not, we support the board's decision. This is not a matter of saying I've changed my mind. This is a matter of saying the world's in a different place. I don't believe any of us considered that the best we could do is get half the number of qualifiers in 2021, and now that seems even likely. So I am very much in favor of backfilling to some extent. You know, I think right now we do have to look forward. We have to look forward to making 2021 finals the best possible, and part of that means, you know, keeping it full. One way to do that may be to get people from 2020 who qualified with a dog to be able to come to the 2021 finals. I think if we're going to go down that road, these are things, you know, the finals, it's at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. People have to get that time off. I know in my house, it's already too late to schedule time off for next fall. For a lot of people, they need to know soon. The sooner we can tell them, the better. I would like to lay out a plan that says we are going to backfill and we're going to do it with some logic, whether it's all the same for all programs or maybe it depends on how full each program is. I don't have any problem with that, but I do think it's okay for us to revisit it, and I do think I'd like to support a backfill type option.
Thanks, Warren. So I think, is it Gina that wanted to say something?
Hi, yes, I just wanted to clarify what I meant with the backfill. If there are 2021 alternates, they would get a first chance. It would be, the backfill would only come from 2020 if there are no alternates that could fill the spot. So it probably basically would only impact a bit, probably rally and obedience and maybe agility, but I don't think so. But anyway, that I am not in favor of bumping 2021 alternates. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, thanks. So the indications that Ray seemed to provide when I talked to him this afternoon was that rally and obedience right now don't have enough qualifiers for their finals. But he thinks that agility, stock dog, and conformation can have, you know, their list filled by May. So I believe that he said, and don't quote me on this, but he had a whole bunch of qualifiers or people who could possibly qualify for ducks already and for cattle. So I'm not sure that it's going to be as dire as we had thought it would be. The scores may not be to the level that we usually see. So, for example, you know, in confirmation, there is no minimum points. You know, it depends however many points. That's how you fall on the list. If you're number 20, you're number 20. And, you know, those points may not be as high as they usually are, but it's still going to have enough finalists in there. So I just want to make sure that you all understand that, you know, when we're talking about filling nationals, of course, we're going to have enough finalists, hopefully for rally and obedience as well. But it's when they come back and say, no, we're not going, and then you go to the alternates. But you have to understand also that there is a time limitation in which that can happen, because the finalists have until July 15th to tell the office. And then after July 15th, then they can go ahead and contact alternates. So just something to consider. If we're not, I mean, if we're going to go down the list of alternates for, you know, the 2021 alternates, I really think that we're going to find that only a few 2020 people are going to get in. That's what I'm thinking. is not as dire as people think it is. And so I just want to make sure that we tell the membership exactly what we're doing, and if we're going to backfill, how that would be done, because they need to know ahead of time how this is going to be done. We can't wait until May to tell them, oh, by the way, you know, you're not going to be able to backfill or whatever, or this is the way the backfill is going to work out. They need to know, so that as they're watching the list, you know, all the way to, you know, June 1st, that they know where they're at. So that's all I have to say about that. If there's going to be any backfilling, I guess, you know, if the board wants to think about it and how they want to do it, then that's what we should do. We should work on it and figure out a way in which this is going to be done, and keep Ray in the loop. But I'm not sure that we can't go forward with any motion or anything like that at this point, if we don't really have a clear idea of how the backfilling will work. So I don't know if anybody else, you know, disagrees with me or whatever, but if you do, please speak up, because at this point, I'm not sure how much more we can do tonight.
Well, Liz, I'd like to say, this is Warren. I'll just jump in. I want to thank you for the information from Ray on the counts. I think that's really important. And so the picture you paint maybe is a little bit different, where we're talking about possible backfills. And if that's where we are, again, that's kind of a little different. Offering somebody a backfill that's never going to happen isn't much of an offer. So that's interesting. I agree. I'm not sure what we can do right now. You know, if somebody has a motion, maybe we can discuss it. But yeah, it seems like we might just be in the same place of not knowing what's going to happen in the future.
Right, and I just don't know that we as a board have a clear, concise idea of how we want the backfilling to work exactly. So I really think that if that's how the board wants to move forward, that this needs to be worked out.
Hey, Liz.
Before we make a motion. Yes, Ray.
Liz, I just wanted to say, for this 2021 Nationals, is a 2021 alternate more deserving than a 2020 finalist?
Well,
I don't think so. In my opinion, for this year only, a 2020 finalist should be considered for an open spot before we consider the 2021 alternate. That's just my opinion for this year. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick. Well, you know, that's one of the questions that we have to, you know, wrestle with, because like I said before, you have a person who was #1 in confirmation last year with, you know, 1,000 points or however many it was. And then, you know, we're going to tell them that they're going to be alternate to, you know, the 2021 alternates who are maybe, you know, 150 points. So, you know, it's a very problematic situation. And I understand that we can't really make a comparison between 2020 and 2021 because 2020 got cut short and 2021 really had such a slow start that there's no even a comparison. So it is a very tricky question. So that's what I'm saying, that if we want to backfill, the best thing that we can do is like really think about it again and then make whatever appropriate motions or whatever, rather than just making a hasty decision and then we're gonna regret later. I'm just being cautious.
Liz, this is Denise.
Yeah.
I think that we should take some time to revisit this, but I think we need to put a timeline on it, just
Well,
like
sure.
with anything else, a deadline, and do some heavy discussion and maybe some, board meetings, conference calls to discuss it, which I think is more advantageous than just emailing. But and then just move forward with it and get it over with.
And I think that maybe, Ray should also give us the list as he sees them now, because he's preparing them this week, because the lists have to go to the Aussie Times next week for the deadline. So he could have some numbers for us early next week. So are we on agreement? Is anybody not happy with waiting a little bit until we get the numbers and take a look at them and before making a final decision on the backfill?
I think waiting is really, really hard, but I think if I say it more the way we did, like, we have work to do, so we need to work it out. So I don't want to get the impression that we're just sitting here waiting, but we're trying to gather more information. We have no proposal at this point, so if somebody were to bring one up, but I absolutely agree with that, Liz. I don't want anybody to think we're just sitting on our hands waiting.
Yes, we're not waiting. I just think that we need to have a clear path of how this is going to be done if we're going to backfill with 2020 competitors. So
Hi, Liz. This is Carol. Can we pick a date, like, to shoot for? Like, what's up? Did you set a deadline or?
Well, sure. We could pick a date. I don't know, 2 weeks from now, maybe we can meet.
How soon did you say we could get a list from Ray?
I think he's working on it now because he has to send it to Cynthia next week for the Aussie time. So I think that we should be able to get it early next week. But I can call him tomorrow and make sure.
Yeah, I think that we should try to finish, make a decision and discuss it after a week after we can get that list.
Yeah. So I'm thinking not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. Of course, I don't even know when. Okay, so if it's Thanksgiving, then obviously we can't do it then. But maybe the Tuesday. Let's see. So today is the 12th. Next week is the 19th. I don't know if we will be available like on the 24th and do it then, or maybe try to. We could try to push it for next week, but like I said, as long as we have a clear path, I don't want to spend, 3 hours discussing possibilities, because then, we're just going to be in the same situation.
Liz, could we ask if people have ideas, if there's no motions presented by email, is there anything to talk about? So maybe we set a date.
Exactly.
And set a date and say, if you have an idea, if you want to propose it, we have until, like you said, the 24th. If nothing comes up by then we can put this aside.
Right. Yep. So if everybody is in agreement with that timeline, anybody opposed to that timeline? Let's put it that way. No, then I'm going to talk to Ray tomorrow, and I'm going to ask him to send us basically the same information that he's going to send to the Aussie Times on the finalists for so far the qualifiers in all the programs, and then we can take it from there. And if somebody wants to present a clear motion about how we're going to backfill or whatever the motion is about, then we can go ahead and meet on the 24th and get it done. Okay?
That's great. Thank you, Liz.
Okay. Then that's what we're going to do. So I'll send you the information as soon as Ray puts it together and sends it to me, and then we'll take it from there. Do we want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
second.
This is Gina.
Okay, so the motion was by Warren, seconded by Gina to adjourn. I'm assuming there's nobody against it. I know that my energy meter is down to like 10, maybe.
Oh, hang in there, Liz. You did great.
Yeah, go put your feet up.
Yes. Okay, guys.
Starbucks.
Thank you
Good
so
night.
much for the membership.
Thank
you
you.
so much
Good
for
night,
listening.
everybody.
Thanks.
Good night.
Night.
Night.